Hey, it's Chuck Armstrong with Loudwire Nights, and this is Loudwire Nights On Demand. It was so great chatting with Eric Boatright, frontman of Shallow Side, all about just their history and their new album, Reflections. This first aired on Tuesday, July 23rd. Let's go. One of the things I love the most about this show and the Loudwire community is the chance to get to celebrate new music and the chance to help shine a spotlight on bands that deserve a ton of attention. And tonight we are hanging with the frontman of one of those bands, shining the spotlight as bright as we can, Eric Boatright of Shallow Side. Eric, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you. Thanks. Like as much sunlight as we can get, right? That's what we.
That's right.
Not too. I'm a ginger, so not too much. Not too much at all.
Yeah, we got to be careful, man.
Feels rolling, right?
Listen, straight to the point, man. We're celebrating the release of Shallow Side's brand new record, Reflections. You've been gearing up for the release of this for a little bit. I think the first single, The Worst Kind, came out nearly 2 years ago. How's it feel to have this wrapped up?
If it was up to me, I still wouldn't release it all. We just keep releasing single after single. I'm having way more fun with it that way. But the tradition goes to go ahead and get the thing out there. So I was kind of strong armed in a way to get it out there. So we're doing it. I am excited. I can't deny that. Every time it comes out, another song, I get that much more excited. So I guess this whole thing, I'll just have a full on panic attack or something.
Right on, man. Well, listen, this marks your third full length, right, with Shallow Side, and when you look at the timeline,
technically our second. So I'll walk you through like real quick.
Walk me through this, man.
So when we first started playing music, we pretty much didn't know what we were doing. We had absolutely no money to start off with. So we recorded a 2-song kind of demo disc, and that was with Travis Wyrick. Now he recorded 10 Years Wasteland. And he's phenomenal. We should have never been in that studio. He should have never allowed us, but he took us on, man. So we recorded those 2 songs. And then maybe a year later, we recorded 5-song EP with Evan Kaufman. 2 years later, we recorded another 5-song EP. And then after that, we went to record our first full-length album at that time. So we would have released 2 EPs, a demo disc, and then going into do an album. And then when we got to the point of releasing that album, it was cut in half, and it was released as an extended play, so another EP. So we had 3 EPs, and we put them all together. And our label put them all together and then re-released them as a debut album, which wasn't technically the first album. The first album was Saints and Sinners, technically. You know what I mean? And as far as writing goes, and that's kind of that's where my passion sits in this world of music. That was the trajectory. And as a listener, if you're just jumping on board and you're watching it play all the way through, you can kind of hear that development start to go. But yes, technically this would be our third one, but in my mind, I still keep it on album number 2.
Right on, man. I get that. Yeah, as far as collections of original music go, yeah, this is going to be your second one, which actually makes this even more interesting to me because that Origins, that collection of those 3 EPs that came out in 2018, and then the next year you released your what I guess you could say is your debut original full-length album, Saints and Sinners. That was in 2019. Right. And then everything changed, right, in 2020. I mean, everything changed in the world. And so here we are 5 years after Saints and Sinners with the follow-up to that, with Reflections. Was that delay all pandemic related? I mean, did that just kind of halt everything?
We hit, man, let me just it was glorious. We were in an absolute heyday. Just thinking back on it, we were trolling around the country. We're playing 250 shows a year, and we've been doing this now for 6 years. And it's feeling good, and everything is running just the way that we wanted to. We get this full-length album out with Elvis Basket, which is a profound, rock and roll god in our world, right?
Dude, his
Like, dude,
name comes up on this show all the time.
dude, like, and like, and for good reason too. On top of being an expert, in my opinion, a wizard of the craft, he's also like genuinely an awesome person. So, I like right off the checklist of things that I want to do in my life, made an album with him. So everything's perfect. We're getting free beers at the bar, making an album with Elvis Basquet, and then some labels start like jockeying for a position, and we're like, this is going to be nice, man. Dude, I grew up in a trailer park, so like this was going to be everything. You know what I mean? Like this was going to solidify my spot at the meth table where I grew up. I was going to be like, yo, this like now I'm somebody. Did you hear me? And fast forward, the labels kind of dragged their feet on it. We stumbled on release, and as soon as finally after we got this thing out, the pandemic hit, and it was just nuts. It was the wildest thing. It went from so much going on, so much fun to be had, to turn around to, all right, sit down, be quiet, can't do it no more. I'm
Yeah.
done. Like what happened? So yeah, we took some time, sat down with the COVID stuff. We did like a little 3-song diddly with some covers that came out really fun. And then, we took it serious and got back to writing the rock and roll that we wanted to create, and we did that with Dawson, and like that's where this new album is into play now, or coming to play.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's incredible. And yeah, it is pretty wild to think that here we are in 2024 and we're still talking about the effects of that pandemic, right? And how it changed everything. And for you guys, I mean, for you too, like being on such a high and moving, and I even think like a couple years before that, Loudwire named Shallow Side the best new artist of the year. Yeah, I remember when that happened. And then there you are, and then everything just changes. And so, I mean, you must have just been having a million different thoughts in your head about what the future looks like.
I had a meltdown. Like I've developed issues because of it. Like just and more shell shock than anything else. Like it was taking someone who's like been on the road and like traveling so much and like living that lifestyle, and then like kind of putting them in the cage. I don't know. I kind of read or I've seen videos like you've seen those kids that just like can't sit still, and they're always fidgety and going nuts all the time until you let them go out on the playground for a little bit, and then they're good. Like my playground was completely taken away. And like you're not allowed to play no more. So like, the stress that I've put myself under, and like had to like sit there and just look at myself in the mirror, long enough to like start to appreciate yourself. And at least for me, it was tough. That was so hard, like to be a part of all that nonsense and then being told to sit down and shut up and like, all right, well, now what do we do? And so many of like our friends, they bailed out. A lot of the venues, they bailed out. A lot of like the media worlds, they all bailed out. So like, where did it all go? To kind of turn into a ghost town. It's came back to life a lot more now, but yeah, weird space, man. That was a weird space.
Which it's got to feel like, maybe we're back to normal, right? You're talking about a new album, you're releasing singles, hitting the road, all of that. Like you're back on your playground in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yep. But it's now it's different, now it's different. It feels like all the girls got boobs now. We're just like, whoa, we're back. Are we mature enough for this, fellas? Can we? How do you even talk to them now?
That's good, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, are you the type of guy who, spends time reflecting on stuff? Because I mean, some artists just always look ahead. They're just focused on that. Or some artists, they're just focused. This is what's happening right now. I'm not going to worry about what's coming down the road. Are you like, where do you land on that, man? Are you the type who's looking back and kind of thinking through the last, because it's been 12 years now since Shallow Side's really been doing this?
Yeah, I stayed in the thought pattern, for better or for worse. That's my, I feel like it's it's a great asset that I have, but it's also, the demon that sits in the back of the head that tells you that you can't, that you won't, that you shouldn't. And those things like stay so constant. I get so humbled and appreciative for being able to to do this. And as far as numbers go, you wouldn't really say that like Shallow Side's at the top of the pyramid, but to look at where I started from, like, dude, like this could be an anthill to some people, but like for me, this is the Taj Mahal. You're telling me that, and that's a blessing, and that's something that I appreciate so much, to be able to do this sort of thing. And then also, look around and realize how much time and space has drifted by while I was out in Wyoming, making my way back to Florida to get to New York so I could, fly to California to get that next writing session in. And, everyone back home is starting to, sprout new hairs, gray hairs, no hair, you know what I mean? Like, the world keeps spinning. So yeah, I do take a lot of that into consideration and in the thought process of growth and becoming more. And that's where a lot of this album really came from, was being able to sit down and reflect on me, who I am, what I was shooting for in the first place. Because to be honest with you, there wasn't a goal. I mean, if you look back on how Shallow Side started, like there was no ambition to become the greatest or recreate the wheel, or redevelop a new thing. We barely knew how to play our instruments, but this was like the first time we could be free. And so, like, just by design or path of least resistance, I've landed here, and it's a blessing. And there's curses that comes along with it. I'm sure with any career field or aspirations that one might have, big hills along the way to the top. But ultimately, as it came out, I think for now, and maybe we'll look back on this conversation, 20 years from now, and be like, yeah, you were wrong about that. But I still count it as a blessing. And,
yeah.
And I think it's awesome, because I don't really have a lot of, friends, honestly. I got a lot of like people I know, you know what I mean? But like my circle's hella small. And when I look around at people that I grew up with, and I check my own stats, I'm like, hey, it ain't too bad. It ain't too bad. We're lucky to be here,
Well, listen, as you talk about all that too, man, and just the ups and the downs and the changes and everything, I mean, like the reality is, here we are talking about new music for Shallow Side, talking about a new album, talking about all these things. And I think that place of gratitude that you seem to have, I mean, that's what it's, you got to have that. Like, if you lost that, I don't know how you could move forward.
Right. I consider a lot, being a thinker. If I was to be able to get that center of gravity rocked, like, let's say that this album just turns around and sells 2 billion copies. No one's ever seen it before. Garth Brooks and Taylor Swift are both holding hands, terrified what they're going to do next. And your boys are on top of the golden pyramid. I won't be honest with you, the world's going to look a little white trashy for a little bit, because I would be the shit that hit the fan. I think that would be it would be the most interesting thing you've ever seen, like a lottery winner, but like times 10. Because it keeps coming in and he keeps doing it again. He's crazy.
Well, the fact that you referenced the meth table earlier in the conversation, man, I kind of get a sense of that. Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. Well, I mean, listen, I know we're talking about a new album, but it's been a while. So, are you already thinking about what's next? Like, what's on the horizon for Shallow Side?
Yeah, already, man. I'm excited to be able to sit down and start writing all over again. Like I was telling you earlier, that's my favorite part about it, creating and developing the sound and finding new ways of making music that speaks to me. And me and our bass player in the band, Sam, we've been pitching ideas back and forth. And I think we got something pretty awesome already, like starting to cook up. So things are not going to stop. It's going to continue to move over here.
Man, I love hearing that. I cannot wait to see everything that's on the horizon for you beyond just the release of this new album. And it's great to catch up. Eric Boatright, thanks so much for hanging tonight. Congrats on the release of this new album, Reflections. I hope everybody adds this to their must-listen list. Let's get to that 2 billion mark, man. Let's see. Let's see if we can do that. I can't wait to see all that's to come this year, beyond this year, brother. You are welcome on Loudwire Nights anytime. And I got to say, for anybody who wants to stay caught up with everything going on in your world, shallowside.net is the easiest way to do it. But man, hopefully we can hang again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you and everything you do.
That wraps up this episode of Loudwire Nights on Demand. Stay caught up with everything happening in the world of rock and metal on the Loudwire app and at loudwire.com.